Hey guys, welcome back. So this video is going to be a how I journal meets ways to fill your journal meets journal flip through, and I have plenty of journals, but for the purpose of this video we're just gonna focus on this one. This is my personal journal that I've had since 2012, so that's 6 years worth of secrets that we're gonna be flipping through. So these two are more business slash planning out content for this channel that I will show you guys in a future video, like a real ways to fill my journal video, which I'll also include my middle school and high school and early college journal. For this one, this journal started in 2012 when I was a sophomore in college. So this is when I was the wildest and when I was at the lowest in my life, and you guys will see. I want to walk you guys through how I went from who I was to where I am today. So I went through this whole journal and highlighted the most important, snippets that I thought it would be worth sharing with you guys. So let's get started. Just going through this really quickly, I hope it shows that this is your journal. Your journal is your journal. You can do whatever you want with it. You can draw in it, you can doodle in it, you can watercolor in it, as I did. It can be a place where you write down all of your brilliant ideas. It can be a place where you cry into your journal. Yeah, it can literally be whatever you want it to be. Alright, so let's just start from the beginning and kind of flip our way through. I might be jumping around just so it makes chronological sense. Yeah, so the first page we have goals. I think the only thing that's relevant to me now is create/start your own blog and actually stick with it. So most of these I believe I wrote in 2012 or 2013 with an addition of an entry in 2015 where I said do the 3 things and do them well, return to my original true state. So this is like a very spiritual thing that I'm not gonna get into in this video. So next we have, these are the next couple of pages, or actually, yeah, the next like 10 pages are all notes I took from one of my favorite business classes in college. There's a lot of quotes in here that honestly has helped me a lot. And all right, this one. So this is a little doodle of like an app that I mocked up for one of my classes. You're off to great places. Today is your day. Your mountain is waiting, so get on your way. Your dream job does not exist. You must create it. I love this. We have so many advantages in this country. It's unfair not to take advantage of it. Very true. People tend to hang on to things in relationships that should have been cut a long time ago. Don't hang out with 4 idiots. You'll be the 5th one. You're young. Younger you are, less opportunity costs you have. So why not do the things you want to do? Because we have less risk. With all of this, it's just it gets very detailed into venture financing, founding team, the resources that you need. Somewhere in there, there's like P&L, like balance sheets. Before we get here, so with all of that, this section is pretty dense to start off with, but I just want to share with you guys how there's a reason why I'm creating content on YouTube. YouTube now being a very, very saturated place with people creating thousands and thousands of videos daily, I really felt that there was a gap in the market, that there was a need for a different type of content that wasn't being created. And so I took it upon myself to fill that gap, to test my theories, to see if people really need the things that I thought I needed, and if it could make business. It could make business. I cannot talk. And if I could prove some hypothesis in my head that the general direction of content, of branding, of advertising is moving towards this more genuine, authentic space where you have real people talking about real things, not that other people are talking about fake things. And you will see later on, like, it just kind of serendipitously came together. Before we get there, let's jump to my personal thoughts. So it's kind of like a little note to my brother, and at the end I said, it's times like this when I'm reminded yet again about perspective and priorities. Sometimes I really do feel like I'm floating through this whole life thing alone by myself in my own little world. Most of the time I have too little, I used to cuss a lot, to give, but there are times, albeit few and far in between, when I think if this is unnatural. It's not, it's just a part of life. So if this is you, this is me. We're the same. We go through the same things. Why am I full of paradoxes? Always too hot or too cold, never anywhere in between. So this is how. This is me, extreme. I think I've worked on it a lot, but it's still like part of my DNA. And right here, Ajuna Beats, WW, if you guys know what that is. This is rave culture. And up here, so these are just like random day by day. I'm just gonna read through things that I think are important. Character is how you treat those who can do nothing for you. And then this is what happiness meant to me in 2012. Happiness doesn't stem from the things you have, the friends around you, the money in your bank account. Happiness is finally being comfortable in your own skin, embracing the silence within yourself, and feeling invigoratingly content about who you are and where you are in life. So life is good today, but tomorrow, the next time I journal, it changes literally every single day. 2 pages later, on the very top, FML. And then a little scribble. Told you. So this right here is start doing and make things happen. It's good that you're thinking all these things, but until you actually start acting upon what's causing the uncertain/uneasy feelings and see some positive results, you're never going to be happy. Instead of spending all your time figuring out who you are and who you want to become on paper, go out and be that person. My battery's about to die. Burb. The majority of this journal is me just thinking and mulling and overthinking everything about my life. I thought a lot, and okay, thinking versus not thinking is definitely better. Thinking versus doing is definitely better. And I think it's like I slowly started to come to these realizations. Look at things differently at the very top. Life is as grand as you make it. Act without expectation. Is that all there is in this world? So dramatic. Your beliefs don't make you a better person, your behavior does. So again, this is like doing more than thinking. The ones who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones that do. Life is beautiful. So this is December 12th of 2012. So many things to look forward to amidst the season of death and despair. Little glimmers of hope, almost done. Oh, this is drink finals. I was like, why so dramatic? Out of clutter, find simplicity. From disorder, find harmony. In the midst of difficulty lies opportunities. This little sticky note right here that was on here. This is pretty emo. Why does it always take me to hit rock effing bottom to realize I need to do something about the current state of my life? Why the F am I sitting here when I should be spending the first day of the new year with my family? Priorities, Rowena. Figure them out, then you'll figure out your life. But at least you'll get closer to finding what you want. Feeling like complete, but ears are still ringing from Gareth Emery. Pretty sure I surpassed the allotted amount of fun by far. When's enough? Get your ish together, dude. So this is just me being like super hard on myself. And the bottom, my lowest points are always when my source of happiness shifts from myself to other things. Hitting rock bottom isn't fun whatsoever, but bouncing back even stronger than before is such an amazing feeling. Feeling that everything is going to be all right after all, as always. So as moody and as anxious and I guess depressed that I was, I always knew that it was all going to be temporary and that there was like some sort of light at the end of the tunnel. Because I just convinced myself that there must be something there, because if not, then like, why do we exist? And I think that was what held me together and what made me keep going, because I really believe that we as humans existed for like a greater reason and for a greater purpose. And until I find that, I wasn't going to let my mental state consume me. Most of the shadows of this life are caused by our standing in our own sunshine. Word. Give up your need to impress others. The moment you stop trying so hard to be something that you're not, the moment you take off all your masks, the moment you accept and embrace the real you, you will find people who will be drawn to you effortlessly. I agree 100%. I will link this article down below. And okay, I don't know why I'm so, this is pretty funny. All right, you didn't spend the last couple of months in a dark little cave. Stop feeling sorry for yourself and open your eyes. You're so lucky and fortunate, yet still so ungrateful. The world doesn't owe you anything. You're not entitled to be happy all the time. Your parents are not your punching bags for your personal downfalls and shortcomings. Yes, I wasn't the best daughter. Here we have the note that I wrote. This is like one of my biggest realizations where I just knew like, okay, I don't want to feel this sad anymore. I don't want to feel this bad anymore. I read this in my How to Write Your Life Together that I'll link up here, and I'll timestamp it so that it goes straight to me reading this. But for the purpose of this video, we will continue. So this is kind of like, by this time, I'm transitioning out of this sad, dark place and into more of like, okay, I want to be the captain of my ship. I want to take control of my life and do the things that I want to do, and just like stop being sad for myself because that's not gonna take me anywhere. New year, new start. The difference between knowing and accepting, embracing the uncomfortable, finding beauty in imperfection. Live life, be physically and mentally present. Most importantly, love yourself, purify your soul. Currently, smile sunshine. This was me setting the mood and the intention for this year, and I think I did a pretty good job at doing that. This is the year that I really found myself and ended up moving to New York. Too long have I been focusing on all the wrong things. Too long have I been neglecting what is most essential, myself. Too long have I allowed such toxicity to consume my being. I don't want to be that person anymore, so I won't. So much love in this life to be grateful for. I'm incredibly blessed to have all that I have, being able to think, to articulate, having a web of the best support system, family who are like friends, and friends who are like family. I like where I'm at, graduating in less than a month, and boy am I effing stoked. Why did I cuss so much? I don't know. On to bigger and better things. Insert fist bump emoji. Woo! Alright, I usually only journal when my life is out of whack, and I know it's a really bad thing. If I did it more consistently, I'd be a more consistent and grounded and less extreme person. But this is just kind of how I operate. Peace is greater than happiness. My earlier years, when I first started journaling, it's like I wanted to be happy. But by this time, it's like, okay, self-care is important, self-love is important, and I want to be at peace more so than anything else. And before we get here, I think the rest is mostly just, yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Let's go back to the beginning, because the beginning also leads, like, it all blends together. So don't be paralyzed by maybes. I used to be paralyzed by everything. The dots are connecting. Yeah. To give context, this part moving on is all after I graduated from college, like all the mental juggles and hurdles that I went to kind of figure out, okay, I need to be in New York, and then eventually I'm gonna start making videos on YouTube. When you do things from your soul, other people really dig that ish. When I was really struggling, I made it a point to really try to figure out, okay, like, what are my strengths, what are my interests, what are my talents, and how can these things come together and funnel, like, what can I do with them all together? So what can all of this do? I don't know. What are you gonna do? Great question. I had no idea. This is what I'm gonna do. That's how all of that made me feel. Here is more ideas, inspiration. Okay, I think this is worth sharing. For the past month, my days have been filled with way too realistic dreams, blurring dream and world and reality, and scattered with moments of pure productivity. So I used to dream a lot. Like, I have very, very vivid dreams. Not as much anymore, but yes. By that, I mean working on something that I am/will be proud of. All in between moments consist of me badgering myself with what is my life purpose and feeling utterly small for not doing big things. The thought of getting a job will pop in moments of extreme weakness, but I knew it'll just be a cover-up, a temporary fix to my very permanent problem. But maybe I've been looking at it all wrong. Maybe I shouldn't be thinking like this, black or white, this or that. My friends said this downtime is necessary for true growth. Others said they wish they took some time off before starting work. Instead of being so upset at myself and beating myself up, maybe I should try to enjoy this period of uncertainty. Truly embrace the uncomfortable and see what comes out of it. Feeling better. I should meditate more. Should equals need to. More equals every morning. Make it a habit, dude. It will only do great things for you. Yeah, Rowena, I wrote this in 2014, and the advice still stands. Meditation thoughts. I've been very selfish with my mental capacity. Majority of what I think about revolves around how I can better myself, why I am the way I am. It's all me, I's. I shouldn't be like that. Let other thoughts in. There's a whole world out there. So this is kind of when I started realizing I'm actually being very selfish with focusing so much attention on myself. I think it's necessary, and I think it's very needed, but as with all things in life, there needs to be a balance in how often and the frequency in which you just think about yourself and the things that you want. So this is me not feeling good, this is me feeling good, and then oh, this is a pretty important breakthrough. I've been taking care of my whole life. It's time to start taking care of myself. I believe that being the younger child and also a girl affected a lot of how things turned out the way they did. Even now, being taken care of by family, cousins, significant others, friends. So my guy friends especially have always spoiled me ever since I was really young with just buying me food and getting tables when we go clubbing and stuff. Time to put on my big girl pants and take responsibility for myself in all aspects, emotional, spiritual, financial. I've done a whole lot of thinking, but not really as much doing. Summer's been wonderful and all, but I'm sick of laying around all day doing a whole bunch of nothing. Now that I can confidently say I'm at a much, much brighter and sunnier place than ever, it's time to move beyond my sheltered mind of me, myself, and I's. No more babysitting myself and my feelings. No more avoiding the uncomfortable. Learn to truly embrace being comfortable with the uncomfortable. Ooh, the candle looks so pretty in the back. So here I outlined another video for Europe that I wanted to do that just never saw the day of light. This is me journaling when I was in Europe, kind of just like documenting what happened and my feelings and thoughts and more life struggles and how I'm unhappy and how I'm happy and how I'm unhappy again. And this I briefly mentioned in passing was when I did the thing when I went to London. If you know what that is, then you know what this is. And moving on, what makes your heart sing? This is something my mom asked me. I think one day I was just like really stressed and confused and talking to my mom like, what do I do? What is my life purpose? What should I do? What could I do? And she's like, what makes your heart sing? Rowena, what makes your heart sing? And I was like, great question. I don't know. Let me think about it. Ooh, okay, so this is really good. I took a road trip to San Francisco and I drove up the PCH by myself. This is the first time I ever took a solo trip and it was like the most beautiful place / thing that I ever did for myself. I think it was like my first foray into what self-care really meant and what could come out of such like, and I don't know, I never would usually used to do those things. To say the drive up Central Coast was gorgeous is a severe understatement. Don't know why it took me 22 years to discover this gem, but hey, better late than never. On the road, thoughts consisted of the typical life, relationship, etc. Actually, since Europe, I haven't been thinking as much. Anxious thoughts, that is. See, life is simple, it's painfully simple. We as humans are the ones that make it complicated. If you asked me a year ago what I wanted, it would have been something along the lines of being happy and proud of whatever it is that I'm doing. Now, I want simplicity and to be present in all that I do, mentally and spiritually present, enjoying the present, soaking in the beauty that is life. Let go of the attachments to things you have no control over. Instead, control what you can, which is yourself. I need consistency, patience, and a good friend. All things I need to be more of to myself. And I also doodled and drew out my trip to San Francisco. All right, so after that, I took notes on the art of storytelling. I took notes on Start With Why, which is a great book and a TED Talk that I'll also link down below. And right here, you can see me storyboarding the Pacific Coast Highway video that I made that I still left up, so you can see it there. Did some doodles. This is when I visited Seattle, and I did this thing with my friends that includes mushrooms, and here's me like drawing out some theories. Cheese, like I told you guys, is really random. These are just like I wanted to get into cheese, so I like wrote that out. Here's me sketching out Rumi Neely's silk shirt because at one point I wanted to be a fashion clothing line designer. Well, dang hao ren. I want to be a good person. How? Be mindful of what you talk about, no cussing, bad words. My actions reflect those of a Dafa disciple, the way I carry myself, what I talk about, how I talk, the way I dress. My intentions are pure and rooted from truthfulness, compassion, and tolerance in all that I do and all that I say. Remember, just because you've been doing something for as long as you remember doesn't mean it's the right thing to do. So this is like when I really started practicing Falun Dafa and wanted to start living my best life. Like to me, this is like living my best life of like how to really be a good person. All right, so to go back to where I am now, there's this mind mapping that I've showed you guys before. Kind of just like it starts with one thing of like, okay, what is it that I'm attached to? It's literally called map of attachments. With doing this, it helped me realize that I'm attached to validation, I'm attached to fame. Fame not in a sense of like I want to be famous, more so I care a lot about what other people think of me, so that's also fame. And then reminded that like short-term satisfaction versus long-term fulfillment, and it's always good to look internally versus blaming externally. It's definitely a lot easier to blame outside than to look inward, but this is like a huge tenet of my spiritual practice. So this is a really great example. What about mom really upsets me? These are all traits that I have, and these are all the traits that I'm not happy with within myself. So mother bear dearest equals mirror image of me. So with this, it's like I really fully believe that whatever it is that we see, whatever it is that we're being shown, things that are moving us, things that are making us emotional, things that are making us angry, are all signs from the universe to be like, hey, you're unhappy, you're moved, you're sad, or you're moved. I just said moved because you're unhappy with something going on in here. So try to figure out what that is instead of always trying to blame outwardly. By this point of my journal, I'm already far more grounded and at peace with myself and my circumstance. So I would just journal maybe every couple of months. Maybe time to move on, or make it, I can't read my own writing, make it your full-time thing. Meeting people, money, and fame are all byproducts of the path I've chosen, but these aren't the reasons why I chose this path. So this is when I first started experiencing growth on my channel for the first time in like oh, there's eyeballs on me, there's people watching, there's brands reaching out to work with me, there's all of you guys saying like the nicest things and leaving the nicest comments. And it moved a part of me that I didn't know could be moved, because starting this channel, like, I didn't do it because of any of these things. I never thought that I'd be tempted by fame. I never thought that I'd be tempted by money. I never thought that I'd be tempted by any of these things. But I realized that most of the time when we do things, it's, you know, it's usually with pure intentions, with a pure heart. But over time, by being human, by being in this world, it's so easy to get caught up in the things that we didn't think we'd be affected by. This picture is a great example of when I first started YouTube. I was just doing things, and then when I got to a little plateau, which is reaching 100K, that was when I was like, oh, so like this is actually turning into something that this can actually be a means for me to support myself. This is a way that I can actually reach people. This is great. Like, all these things, like, all the stars have aligned. Why have I been fluctuating between cycles of deep productivity and full-blown potatoes? So this is 2 months ago. Why am I so extreme? Great question. Why am I so inconsistent? Why do I fluctuate so frequently? Both great questions, and still questions that I don't have answers to, but I'm hoping to find that sooner or later so I can make less how to get my life together / reset routine videos. I'm more like, I don't know, what other videos would you guys like to see? Please let me know down below. Letting go equals elevating. Seeing fault in others equals seeing fault in self. Looking inward unconditionally equals magical results. So with all of that, this brings us to current time Rowena, and this video was epically long, and I'm going to have a really tough time cutting it. I think it's like 1 hour and 30 minutes. Yeah, so with all of that, I hope that it showed you guys that no matter where you are now, no matter who you are or who you want to be, like, if you really put in the work, and if you really want to do and be the person you want to be and do all the things you want to do, you can totally do it. And so with that, thank you guys so much for joining me. You're not alone in whatever it is that you're going through. 1, 2, whatever your dream is, whatever you want to do, you can do if you pour your heart and soul into it and just work your butt off. Yeah. And with that, goodbye.